Hejun looked up at the massive glass building of the Galactic Academy of Sciences. The sunlight from 3 different suns made the building shine like a diamond. He held his breath for a moment. After 6 months of space travel, he was finally here, the first student from Earth to join the Academy's exchange program. "Watch where you're going, Earth creature." A tall alien with blue skin pushed past him. Hejun almost fell, but he kept his balance. He was used to this kind of treatment. Many aliens thought Earth was too dangerous and primitive to join the galactic community. Inside the building, hundreds of alien students walked through the halls. Some floated, others crawled, and a few rolled like balls. Hejun felt very small among them. Most alien species were much bigger than humans. "You must be the Earth student," a friendly voice called out. Hejun turned to see another human walking toward him. She smiled and bowed slightly. "I'm Sangmei. I arrived last week from the Seoul Space Center." Hejun smiled back, relieved to see another human face. "I'm Hejun. I didn't know there was another Earth student here." "There are only 2 of us," Sangmei said. She looked around the hall. "The Academy accepted us because they were curious about Earth. They call our planet the Death World, because even our smallest animals can be dangerous." Their conversation was interrupted by heavy footsteps. A huge alien student walked up to them. He was 3 meters tall, with thick armor-like skin and 4 arms. His name was Du Young, and he was from the Kraxi species, famous warriors in the galaxy. "So these are the new Earth things," Du Young said, looking down at them. His voice was deep and loud. "You too are very small. Are you sure you belong in this academy? We study serious science here, not primitive Earth biology." Hejun wanted to argue, but he stayed quiet. Sangmei spoke instead. "Size isn't everything," she said calmly. "On Earth, some of the deadliest creatures are the smallest ones." Do Young laughed. The sound echoed through the hall. "Deadly. Look at me. My skin can stop laser blasts. No small creature could hurt me." He flexed his 4 arms to show off his strength. Just then, the Academy's bell rang. It was time for their first class. As they walked to the classroom, Hejun whispered to Sangmei, "Maybe we should show them why Earth creatures are so feared." Sangmei nodded. "They think we're weak because we're small, but they don't understand Earth at all. Even our spiders could kill their strongest warriors." They entered the classroom where Professor Kita, a tall alien with green skin, waited for them. The professor looked at his student list and smiled. "Ah, our Earth students. Welcome. Today, we will start a very special project about dangerous species from different planets." Hejun and Sangmei looked at each other and smiled. This was their chance to show everyone why Earth was called a death world. Sometimes the smallest things were the most dangerous, and soon the whole academy would learn this lesson. As they sat down, Du Young and his friends laughed at them from the back of the room. But Hejun wasn't worried. He knew that soon these aliens would learn to respect Earth and its creatures. After all, on his planet, even a tiny spider could be deadlier than the strongest alien warrior. Professor Kita stood at the front of the classroom, his green skin glowing under the bright lights. "For this project, each student will present about the most dangerous creature from their home planet," he explained. "You will show us why these creatures are feared." The alien students got excited. Many of them started talking about huge monsters and fierce predators from their worlds. Du Young raised all 4 of his arms. "Professor, on my planet, we have the Spine Crusher. It's 20 meters long and can break mountains." Hejun and Sangmei sat quietly, making notes on their tablets. They knew they didn't need a huge creature to win this project. Earth had something much more interesting, its tiny killers. After class, they went to the Academy's library. It was a massive room filled with floating screens and data crystals. Sangmei pulled up information about Earth's spiders. "Look at this," she said to Hejun. "The Brazilian wandering spider. It's only a few centimeters long, but its venom is incredibly powerful." Hejun nodded. Perfect. But how can we prove it's dangerous? The other students won't believe us without proof. I have an idea, Sangme said. She opened another screen showing the Academy's safety rules. We can bring a real spider for our presentation. The rules allow dangerous specimens if we have proper safety containers. They spent hours studying the spider. They learned about its hunting habits, its venom, and how it affected different creatures. The more they learned, the more confident they became about their project. The next day in class, other students presented their dangerous animals. One student showed a creature that could swallow ships whole. Another had a beast that breathed acid. Du Young talked about his spine crusher, making big gestures with his arms to show how huge it was. When it was Hejun and Sangme's turn to share their research, Du Young laughed. What will the Earth students show us? A tiny bug. His friends joined in the laughter. Professor Kita raised his hand for silence. Let them speak, he said firmly. Sangme stepped forward. We chose the Brazilian wandering spider, she said, showing a picture on the big screen. It's one of Earth's most venomous spiders. That tiny thing. Du Young interrupted. It looks like a snack. Our warriors wouldn't even notice if it bit them. Hejun smiled calmly. Size can be deceiving. This spider's venom can kill most creatures in hours. Even a small bite is enough. The alien students whispered among themselves. Some looked doubtful, others seemed interested. Professor Kita studied the information carefully. Interesting choice, the professor said. But like your classmates, I would need to see proof. Theory is one thing, but real evidence is another. Do Young stood up, his armor-like skin gleaming. Yes, bring this tiny killer to class. Let's see it face our warrior champion, Sun Ho. He has never lost a fight. The classroom erupted in excited talks. Professor Kita tried to calm everyone down, but the challenge was already made. Hejun and Sangmei looked at each other. This was their chance to prove Earth's strength, but it was also dangerous. One wrong move could be fatal. We accept the challenge, Sangmei said confidently. But remember, on Earth, the smallest creatures are often the deadliest. As they left the classroom, Hejun felt worried. They had to be very careful. They weren't just representing Earth now. They were about to prove why their planet was called a death world. And soon, everyone would understand why even the strongest warriors feared Earth's tiny killers. The news about the challenge spread quickly through the Galactic Academy. Students from all departments wanted to see the Earth spider face the mighty warrior Sun Ho. Even the teachers talked about it during their breaks. Hejun and Sangmei sat in the Academy's garden, planning their next steps. The garden was beautiful, with plants from 1,000 worlds growing together under special lights. They chose this quiet place to talk because the other students kept asking them questions about the spider. We need to contact Earth for permission to bring the spider, Sangmei said, looking at her tablet. The Academy rules say we must have special papers for dangerous creatures. Hejun nodded. We should also talk to Professor Jaiwon. She knows about Earth creatures. She can help us transport the spider safely. Their conversation stopped when a shadow fell over them. Du Young stood there with another alien student. The new student was even bigger than Du Young, with silver armor-like skin that shined in the garden's light. This is Sun Ho, Du Young said proudly. He is the champion of our world. He has fought the biggest monsters in the galaxy and won every time. Sun Ho looked down at the two humans. His voice was deep and calm. I hear you want to test your Earth creature against me. I accept this challenge. Hejun stood up slowly. Even sitting on a high bench, he barely reached Sun Ho's chest. This is not a normal fight, he explained. The spider is very dangerous. One bite could kill you. Sun Ho and Du Young laughed. The sound made the plants around them shake. Kill me. Sun Ho flexed his muscles. My skin can stop plasma rays. No tiny creature can hurt me. You should listen to them, a new voice said. Professor Jaiwon walked into the garden. She was one of the few human teachers at the academy. Earth's creatures are different from anything you have faced. Do Young crossed his forearms. Professor, with all respect, you humans worry too much. Look at Sun Ho. He is the strongest warrior in the academy. Your spider is smaller than his finger. Professor Jae-won walked to a nearby plant. It had beautiful purple flowers. This flower, she said, is from Earth. It looks pretty, but its pollen can make you very sick. On Earth, beautiful things can be deadly. Small things can be dangerous. Sun Ho stepped forward. His armor made soft clicking sounds as he moved. I am not afraid. I will show everyone that your Earth creatures are nothing special. Let us make this challenge official. Professor Jae-won looked worried, but she nodded. Very well. We will set up the demonstration in the safety lab. But you must follow all our rules. One mistake could be very dangerous. As Sun Ho and Do Young walked away, Sang-mi turned to Professor Jae-won. Will you help us bring the spider here safely? The professor looked serious. Yes, but we must be very careful. These aliens think they are too strong to be hurt. They need to learn that Earth's creatures deserve respect. Hejun watched the two aliens leave. He felt nervous about what they were planning. The spider could really hurt someone if things went wrong. But maybe this was the only way to make them understand why Earth was called a death world. We will teach them, Sang-mi said quietly. Sometimes the best lessons come from small things. Professor Jae-won's laboratory was filled with special containers and safety equipment. Hejun and Sang-mi watched as she checked the security systems one more time. They had received permission from Earth to bring the Brazilian wandering spider to the academy, but everyone knew they needed to be extremely careful. The spider will arrive tomorrow, Professor Jae-won explained, pointing to a special container made of strong, clear material. This box has 4 layers of security. Nothing can break it from inside or outside. The spider will stay safe here until the demonstration. Hejun studied the container carefully. How will we show its abilities without putting anyone in danger? Professor Jae-won pressed a button, and a screen appeared in the air. We will use these special sensors to measure the spider's venom. We can show everyone exactly what the venom does without risking anyone's life. Sang-mi worked at another table, preparing small pieces of synthetic tissue. These artificial pieces of flesh would help them demonstrate the spider's power. The sensors will show how fast the venom works, she explained to Hejun. Even the strongest alien will understand when they see this. The laboratory door opened, and Sun Ho walked in. He had to bend down to fit through the doorway. His silver skin reflected the bright laboratory lights. I came to see your preparations, he said. All this security for one tiny spider seems excessive. Professor Jae-won turned to face him. Sun Ho, you are a brave warrior, but you must understand. This is not about bravery or strength. This spider's venom is unlike anything you have faced before. Sun Ho walked around the laboratory, looking at their equipment with doubt in his eyes. Professor, I respect you, but I have fought creatures that could destroy cities. This spider is smaller than my smallest finger. That is why it is so dangerous, Hejun said quietly. On Earth, the smallest creatures are often the deadliest. They had to become very dangerous to survive. Sun Ho touched the security container with one of his armored fingers. My armor can stop any attack. No venom can get through it. Professor Jae-won shook her head. Sun Ho, please listen. This is not a battle you can win with strength. One small bite cold. Enough warnings, Sun Ho interrupted. I came here to tell you that many important people will watch the demonstration. The Academy's leaders want to see if Earth creatures are really as dangerous as you claim. After Sun Ho left, Sang-mi looked worried. He's not taking this seriously, she said. He thinks this is just another fight. That is why we must be extra careful, Professor Jae-won said. She started entering security codes into the container's control panel. Tomorrow, when the spider arrives, we will show them all why Earth's creatures demand respect. Hejun helped Sang-mi prepare more synthetic tissue samples. He thought about how Sun Ho and the others still didn't understand. They thought biggest meant strongest. But on Earth, the most dangerous things often came in the smallest packages. As they finished their preparations, Professor Jaiwan gave them one last warning. Remember, we are not doing this to prove anything. We are doing this to teach them respect for all living things, no matter how small they may be. The Academy's main demonstration hall was filled with students and teachers from every planet in the galaxy. They had all come to see the Earth Spider face the mighty warrior Sun Ho. The room was designed like a large circle, with seats rising up high so everyone could see the demonstration area in the center. Professor Jaiwan stood next to the special container that held the Brazilian wandering spider. The spider had arrived that morning, and now it moved quietly in its secure home. It was small and brown, looking almost ordinary, but everyone could see how carefully the professor handled the container. Hajun and Sangmei prepared their equipment while the crowd watched. They set up screens that would show detailed information about the spider's venom. The synthetic tissue samples were ready for the demonstration. Distinguished guests, Professor Kite announced, his voice carrying through the hall. Today we will witness a demonstration of one of Earth's most dangerous creatures. Please remain quiet and follow all safety instructions. Sun Ho entered the demonstration area. He wore his finest armor, which gleamed under the bright lights. The crowd cheered as he walked to the center. Many alien students held up signs supporting their champion. "This is your dangerous creature," Sun Ho asked, looking at the small spider in its container. "It looks like it would make a better pet than an opponent." Professor Jaiwan stepped forward. Her voice was serious. "This is not a contest, Sun Ho. This is a scientific demonstration. We will show you why this spider is considered one of Earth's deadliest creatures." She pressed some buttons on the container, and one of the synthetic tissue samples moved into a special testing area. The spider would be able to bite the tissue while staying safely contained. "Watch the screens carefully," Sangmei explained to the audience. "They will show you exactly what happens when the spider's venom enters living tissue." But before they could begin, Sun Ho stepped closer to the container. "This is taking too long," he said. "Let me show everyone how harmless this creature is. My armor can protect me from anything." "Step back," Professor Jaiwan warned. "The security systems are very sensitive. Any interference could be dangerous." The crowd watched with excitement as Sun Ho moved even closer. Hajun noticed that one of the container's sensor lights was blinking yellow, a warning sign. The spider's venom can affect even creatures much larger than itself, Hajun tried to explain. "Size does not matter when it comes to poison." Sun Ho stood right next to the container now. The audience was completely silent, waiting to see what would happen. Even Du Young, who had been cheering for his friend, looked worried. "Sun Ho, please," Professor Jaiwan said firmly. "This is not a game. We must follow the safety protocols." But Sun Ho had made up his mind. He reached for the container's control panel, his armored fingers moving toward the buttons. "Let me show everyone why we should not fear such a tiny creature," he said confidently. The yellow warning light turned red. The events that followed happened very quickly. When Sun Ho pressed the control panel, multiple warning alarms started to sound throughout the demonstration hall. The container's safety systems detected unauthorized access and initiated emergency protocols. Professor Jaiwan moved swiftly to correct the system malfunction, but Sun Ho's interference had already disrupted the carefully calibrated safety measures. The inner seal of the container started to malfunction. "Everyone stay calm," Professor Jaiwan announced firmly. "Please proceed to the emergency exits in an orderly manner." Her voice remained steady, though her expression showed serious concern. Hajun and Sangmei immediately activated the secondary containment field, a standard Earth safety procedure for dangerous specimens. However, the field could not fully establish because Sun Ho stood too close to the container. "Step back now," Professor Jaiwan ordered Sun Ho. "The containment systems are failing." Sun Ho remained in place, his silver armor gleaming under the warning lights. "There is no need for panic," he declared. "I will handle this small creature myself." The audience members began to evacuate, but many stayed to watch, believing in their champion's strength. Du Young stood at the edge of the demonstration area, his earlier confidence replaced with visible concern. Then it happened. The container's inner seal failed completely. The Brazilian wandering spider, sensing the change in its environment, moved with remarkable speed. Before anyone could react, it escaped through the small gap in the containment system. "Nobody move," Sangmei called out. "The spider will not attack unless it feels threatened." But Sunho did not listen. He reached out with his armored hand, attempting to catch the spider. "I will show you how a warrior handles such situations," he announced confidently. "Stop," Hajun shouted. "Your armor has gaps at the joints. The spider can bite through those spaces." Professor Ji-won was already activating the emergency capture systems, but they needed time to power up. "Sunho, remain still," she commanded. "This is not a situation you can resolve with strength." The spider, now feeling threatened, moved with incredible speed across the demonstration area. It ran directly up Sunho's armor, finding the exact spot Hajun had warned about, the small gap at the wrist joint. Sunho's expression changed from confidence to surprise as he felt the spider's bite. It was such a small sensation that he might have missed it if he hadn't been watching the creature. "That?" Sunho laughed, though his voice carried a note of uncertainty. "That small bite is nothing to a warrior of my." He stopped speaking suddenly, his silver skin taking on a concerning shade of gray. Professor Ji-won immediately activated the medical emergency protocols. "Security containment team to the demonstration hall." She spoke into her communicator. "Medical emergency team as well. Priority 1. The spider was quickly captured by the emergency systems, but all attention had turned to Sunho. The mighty warrior stumbled, his armored legs no longer able to support him properly. His breathing became labored, and his skin continued to change color. "The venom acts quickly," Sangmei explained to the shocked audience. "This is why we wanted to demonstrate with synthetic tissue only." As medical teams rushed into the hall, Hajun helped support Sunho's massive frame. The warrior who had dismissed Earth's small creatures now understood their power in the most direct way possible. The Academy's medical center was the most advanced facility of its kind in this part of the galaxy. Dr. Yoon-hee, the chief medical officer, worked quickly as she assessed Sunho's condition. The mighty warrior lay on a specialized medical bed, his silver skin now a dark gray color. Various monitors showed his vital signs, all of them concerning. "The venom is spreading faster than we expected," Dr. Yoon-hee announced to the medical team. His species' natural armor actually slowed down his body's ability to fight the poison. Hajun and Sangmei stood nearby, providing information about the spider's venom to the medical staff. Professor Ji-won had brought all their research data to help treat Sunho. Earth creatures evolved alongside each other. Sangmei explained to Dr. Yoon-hee. "Our strongest animals had to develop powerful defenses against even the smallest threats. That's why the venom is so effective." In the waiting area outside, Du Young paced back and forth. His earlier arrogance had disappeared completely. Other students gathered around, waiting for news about their champion's condition. Dr. Yoon-hee studied the data about the spider's venom carefully. "We need to create an antidote, but this venom is unlike anything in our medical database. It attacks multiple systems at once." The medical team worked tirelessly. They used the most advanced technology available, combining their knowledge with the information about Earth's creatures. Hours passed, and Sunho's condition continued to worsen. "His body is strong," Dr. Yoon-hee said, checking the monitors again. "But strength alone is not enough. This venom was designed by nature to overcome any defense." Professor Ji-won stepped forward with a suggestion. "On Earth, we have developed antivenoms for these spiders. Perhaps we could modify one to work for his species." The doctor nodded, and they quickly contacted Earth's medical authorities. Within an hour, they received the formula for the antivenom, but they had to adapt it for Sun Ho's alien biology. The next few hours will determine everything, Dr. Yoon-hee told the waiting students. This is a lesson for all of us about respecting nature's dangers, no matter how small they appear. In the medical center, Sun Ho drifted in and out of consciousness. His powerful body fought against the venom while the medical team worked to save him. The modified antivenom was their best hope, but no one knew if it would work on his alien physiology. Do Young finally spoke to He-jun and Sang-mei. "We were wrong," he admitted quietly. "We thought being big and strong made us superior. We never imagined a creature so small could defeat our greatest warrior." As the night continued, the monitors showed small improvements in Sun Ho's condition. The modified antivenom was slowly working, fighting back against the spider's powerful poison. "He will survive," Dr. Yoon-hee announced finally, "but his recovery will take time." Even with his remarkable strength, this experience has taken a severe toll on his body. The news spread quickly through the academy. The mighty warrior who had dismissed Earth's creatures as harmless had nearly been defeated by one of its smallest inhabitants. It was a powerful lesson about respect and humility that no one would soon forget. 1 month after the incident, the Galactic Academy of Sciences held a special assembly. The large auditorium was filled with students and teachers from all worlds. Sun Ho stood at the podium. His silver skin now returned to its normal shade, though he moved more carefully than before. "I stand before you today as someone who has learned a valuable lesson," Sun Ho began, his voice carrying through the quiet room. "I thought strength and size were everything. I was wrong, and that mistake nearly cost me my life." In the audience, He-jun and Sang-mei sat with Professor Jae-won. Their research project had received the highest marks in Academy history, but that was not what mattered most to them. They had achieved something far more important, a new understanding between species. "Earth is called a death world for good reason," Sun Ho continued. "Its creatures, no matter their size, demand our respect. The spider that bit me was smaller than my finger, yet its venom nearly defeated all my natural armor and strength." Do Young, sitting in the front row, nodded in agreement. Since the incident, he had become one of the most dedicated students in Earth biology classes. He wanted to learn everything he could about the planet that had humbled their greatest warrior. Professor Kita stood up next. "This incident has led to significant changes in how we approach our studies. The Academy now requires all students to learn about Earth's ecosystem. We must understand that true strength comes in many forms." The Academy had also updated its safety protocols. Professor Jae-won had been asked to create new guidelines for handling specimens from Earth. Her expertise was now highly valued throughout the galaxy. "The medical knowledge we gained from this experience has been remarkable," Dr. Yoon-hee added from her place on the stage. "The way Earth creatures evolved their defenses and venoms has opened new areas of research. Sometimes the smallest things can teach us the biggest lessons." After the assembly, students gathered in small groups to talk about the changes. Many approached He-jun and Sang-mei with questions about Earth. The same aliens who had once dismissed them now treated them with respect and curiosity. "Will you teach us more about Earth's creatures?" a group of students asked. "We want to understand how they became so powerful." He-jun smiled. "On Earth, every creature had to become dangerous to survive. Big or small, they all found their own ways to be strong." The Academy's leaders had also made a significant decision. They increased the number of positions available for Earth students and researchers. They realized that humans, who had evolved on such a dangerous world, had unique insights to offer. "Your planet has taught us all something important," Sun Ho said to He-jun and Sang-mei later that day. "True power is not always visible to the eye. Sometimes the most dangerous things come in the smallest packages." As the day ended, He-jun looked out the Academy's windows at the 3 suns setting in the alien sky. Earth was very far away, but its influence was now felt strongly in these halls of learning. Their small spider had done more than just humble a mighty warrior. It had opened the galaxy's eyes to a new kind of strength.